just feel like spring there. We're going to make you feel like spring from the inside here when we go down to the spring training headquarters of the Kansas City Royals. I think because of just habit, I think I just said Kansas City Chiefs before the break. Sorry about that. That's just the way it is. Hey, let me tell you about this fella right here that we're having on. Mike Cummings is in his, is it 8th, Mike, season?
Would be my 9th coming up. Yeah.
Coming up 9th season with the Kansas City Royals. Yep. He oversees the day-to-day media relations efforts of the club. He produces the daily game notes, press releases. He serves as the editor of the team publications. 2017, he served as a contributing editor-writer for the book Kansas City Royals, 50 Years, A Golden History. He got his Bachelor of Arts degrees at the University of North Dakota. He is from Fargo, graduate of Fargo South, and now finds himself as the Assistant Communications Director of Major League Baseball's Kansas City Royals. And we talked to him from spring training headquarters at Surprise Stadium in Arizona this afternoon. Mike, welcome back to KFGO.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
It's an absolute pleasure. We just got a hold of him on the phone and said, Mike, what are you doing? And I'm working on the roster, and I'm thinking, wow, you get to do the roster? He's formatting the roster. You're formatting the thing that the manager fills out.
Yes, not quite that exciting to actually get to sign and release and players. They tell me who's on the roster, and I have to find a way to put this year's 71 names on the spring training roster to start. So.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions: is how many players are coming to spring training for the Kansas City Royals? 71, huh?
71. We've got 37 on the 40-man, and then we've got a bunch of non-roster invites. And this year more so than other years, it's a lot of guys from our minor league system that it's going to be a challenge this year because those guys didn't get to have a season last year. All of minor league baseball was canceled, so they're going to be coming in and looking to try to get as much work in. Probably not, in position to. Probably not as much in position to make the team this year as maybe in previous years. So, but obviously, we want them to get as much experience and as they can while they're down here, and hopefully help us down the line sometime during the season.
So, Mike, you've been in Kansas City now for 9 years, going through all this stuff, and sometimes you get a little immune to what we're going through. We have all these jobs that we have to get, and I'm sure you're very, very busy doing that. But do you still? I'm trying to ask delicately, Mike, because if I were invited to spring training, if I'd been working my butt off all my life, and I was trying to make it in Major League Baseball, and I got invited to Major League Camp for the Kansas City Royals, I would be over the moon. I'd be working out 10 hours a day. I'd be going absolutely crazy. These guys got to be so excited, especially the first-timers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's one of the cool things in spring training is you get to see guys like this that, it may never be in a regular season Major League game, but they get a chance and they get to show what they can do. And, there's lots of situations where guys will impress in spring training and they will get a shot right away. Or, even, when they're looking to make a move, they made an impression with the Major League team during spring training. So they're going to be the first one called up.
But it's just so exciting to think about. There's a guy in the Red Hawks, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know he's been invited to a Major League camp this year, and that's a little bit of a buzz around town here. And you deal with that, all the time down there. So another thing that's so unique about Major League Baseball is, how homey it is, and what I mean by that is, the past stars of yesteryear come and hang around with the team, and I think that's one of those things that's kind of unique to Major League Baseball. Are you expecting people like George Brett and Dan Quisenberry and some of the old Royals, will they hang around at spring training?
Most years they do, but this year with the restrictions and we're only allowed so many people in tier 2, which is coaches and trainers. I'm part of that too, but they're really restricting how many people can be in camp. So I'm guessing we're not going to see as many guys as we really do. But yeah.
Whoops. Mike, are you there? I think we lost your.
Uh-oh.
Whoops.
Still there?
Yeah, I think. Okay. Yeah, we got you there.
Okay.
So we just got a couple of minutes of bad connection there. So I understand. So the older guys, the famous guys, the George Bretts of the world, may or may not. If they come, they'll only be able to spend a short time or whatever. I'd imagine the new young players, though, Mike. I mean, that's got to be something they really look forward to and glean little nuggets of information and tips from these guys.
Absolutely. It's got to be pretty cool to be a young guy, in your early 20s and just coming up in the game, and you got George Brett, you maybe have, Willie Wilson or somebody else like that hanging around the back with you while you're taking BP or, giving you pointers or things like that. And yeah, I mean, as somebody that's a fan of the game, that's one of the coolest things is, you have a legend like that how many different careers he can touch just, by being in spring training or, so.
Absolutely. I'll never forget the look on George Brett's face coming out of the dugout and the pine tar thing. And I don't know why my brain goes right there. It's probably the most famous thing, but I mean, he accomplished much, much more than that. So fans then, when you talk about restrictions, are you still having fans? Can people come to the games?
So Major League Baseball is trying to do their best to get as many fans as they can in. They haven't said exactly how many in spring training stadiums or during the regular season, but it'll be kind of like what football was in this year. Where I hadn't off. It'll be a little bit like football was, where they'll be in groups, and you won't see full stadiums, obviously, spring training or early in the season. But, the hope is that the more people get vaccinated, they can start letting more people in and kind of, lowering the restrictions of right away.
Well, I sure hope we have. So as of right now, everything is still status quo as it was last year, and they'll make that determination as we get closer to the start of the regular season?
Yeah, I think we're expecting them to come out with a plan sometime in the next couple of weeks that says, okay, if your stadium capacity and say ours in Surprise is about 10,000, they may say, okay, you can have 2,000 in the park, and they have to be distance so much apart and whatever. But baseball still hasn't put out their plan for that yet. But I would expect it to come out here in the next week or two.
Mike, you guys,
games
ahead.
Start here in two. I'm sorry, I was going to say because games start here February 28th. So it's got to be, I would think, here pretty soon.
Yeah, you guys take on the Rangers on February 28th, 2:05 p.m. first pitch Eastern time. Mike,
yes.
I wonder, you share Sunrise Stadium. Or is it Surprise Stadium? You guys share
Surprise,
yeah. You guys share Surprise Stadium with the Royals. How does that work?
So when we're at home, they'll be on the road, and vice versa. Both of us, because there's the main stadium, and then both of us have a complex with 6 or 7 fields and different training areas and stuff on opposite sides of it. So and that's pretty common actually in Arizona. That was one of the ways that they kind of enticed some teams from Florida, Kansas City being one of them, to come over, in the 90s and early 2000s. Is they built these big complexes, and where we are in Surprise, when the Royals first moved here in 2003, from what I'm told, there were maybe 3 or 4 restaurants in town and one hotel. So, it every year I come down here, I feel like it's grown, and there's something new that I haven't seen yet, but. This is going to be the year that I don't necessarily get to explore it a whole lot. So,
right.
But yeah.
Mike Cummings is Assistant Communications Director with the Kansas City Royals. He's joining us from Arizona this afternoon, home of the Kansas City Spring Training Facility. Mike got there yesterday. So, Mike, can you walk us through what your tasks are, your assignments are as Assistant Communications Director leading up to when the players, pitchers and catchers, everybody reports?
Well, boy, there's a long list, but top of the list is we got to get the media guide done. We have our photo day coming up where, all the players get their headshots taken. And the goal is always to have the media guide done right around that time so that you can just drop those in and send it off to the printer. But, there's other things too, obviously day to day. I was answering emails most of the day this morning, and we've been putting out advisories on how spring training is going to work, and had one today about we have a videographer down here that's going to shoot practice footage, just because the TV stations from Kansas City really can't come down and be part of this. So we're going to have a camera there to share footage with them. And I think most teams have something like that set up in place, so that their local markets can still cover spring training and everything. So, but yeah, it's kind of a Swiss Army knife, a little bit of everything, so.
I got you. So are your mom and dad going to be able to come down and see you this spring?
My mom is going to try to at the end, but my dad hasn't gotten the vaccine yet, so he's a little bit more hesitant to travel, I think. So I'll hopefully see my mom here at the end of March, but yeah, otherwise not going to see my dad till hopefully they can come down sometime during the season.
Well, I hope so, too. I talk to him about it every time I see him, about how you're doing and everything. We're awful proud of you, Mike, and we're hoping you keep going, and we wish you much success. I'm sure I'll get a chance to chat with you as we're coming up on the season, and then maybe in the season as well. I try not to bother you as much as possible, Mike.
Well, I appreciate it, but, anytime I can help, and I don't have a lot of answers, but, I try to answer as best I can for you. So.
Well, Mike, we think you do a great job, and you got a lot going on. Mike Cummings is the Assistant Communications Director for the Kansas City Royals. They get ready to open spring training on Sunday, February 28th. When do pitchers and catchers report, Mike?
So our first pitchers and catchers workout is Wednesday, and then the full team's here Sunday, or they're supposed to report by Sunday, and so our first full workout is a week from today.
It's an exciting time, Mike. Woo! I can't wait. I hope this COVID thing gets under control. We get everybody vaccinated, and we can get back to normal as quick as possible, including our Major League Baseball season. Mike, you keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you again, okay?
All right. Take care, Dan.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Cummings, Assistant Communications Director with the Kansas City Royals, proud Fargo South graduate and UND grad and Fargo